Welcome back to the Quarterly Call. All content is for informational purposes and is not investment advice. Please consult with an investment professional. All right, so Microsoft's latest earnings call. They just wrapped up Q2 2025, and it feels like the whole tech world is buzzing about it.
It's definitely a call that has a lot of people talking, and for good reason. It's not just about Microsoft's performance, it's a window into the future of the entire tech landscape.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
What are the big takeaways here? What should we be paying attention to?
Well, the headline number is impressive. Microsoft Cloud just crossed a major milestone, topping $40 billion in revenue this quarter. That's a 21% jump from last year.
Wow, 21% growth is nothing to sneeze at. So the cloud is still a major growth driver for them.
Absolutely. But what's really interesting is what's fueling that growth. It's not just the traditional cloud services anymore. Microsoft's big bet on AI is paying off in a huge way. Their AI business is now on track to hit a $13 billion annual revenue run rate. That's a 175% increase year over year.
Okay, now that's what I call impressive. But is it sustainable? Is this just a temporary surge driven by the ChatGPT hype, or is there something more substantial behind it?
It's definitely not just hype. This AI growth is coming from multiple sources. Azure AI services, which provide developers with powerful tools, are seeing massive adoption. Microsoft 365 Copilot is changing the way people work by boosting productivity. And even things like GitHub Copilot, which helps developers write better code, are contributing to this surge. This is about real value being created across a whole range of applications.
So it sounds like Microsoft is really hitting its stride with AI. They've been talking about it for years, but now it seems like it's finally starting to translate into real revenue.
Exactly. And they're not just reacting to the current demand, they're building for a future where AI is ubiquitous. They see AI demand exploding in the coming years, and they're investing heavily in data center capacity to prepare for it.
It almost feels like we're at a tipping point where AI is moving from the realm of research and development to the mainstream.
I think you're right. We're seeing this shift happen across the industry, but Microsoft is definitely at the forefront of it. Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, even said something interesting during the call. From now on, it's a more continuous cycle governed by both revenue growth and capability growth.
It's an interesting statement. What's the implication there?
It means they're not just focused on short-term profits. They're investing heavily in research and development, constantly pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. They're playing the long game, betting that AI will be a transformative force across every industry.
So they're not just trying to cash in on the current AI hype. They're building for a future where AI is deeply integrated into everything we do.
Precisely. And that's a smart move because the potential of AI is truly vast. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible, and Microsoft is positioning itself to be a major player in this emerging landscape.
But it wasn't all sunshine and roses on this earnings call, was it? I noticed that Azure's non-AI growth seemed a little softer than expected. Did Microsoft stumble a bit there?
It does seem they had some challenges in their scale motions, which is how they sell to smaller businesses, often through partners. There might be some friction as customers figure out how to integrate AI into their existing cloud setups. It's a bit of a learning curve for everyone involved.
So are these scale motion issues a cause for concern, or are they just temporary growing pains? Could this be a sign of deeper problems with their go-to-market strategy?
It's too early to say for sure. Microsoft acknowledged these challenges and seems to be adapting their approach. Plus, their overall cloud business is still very strong, and their commitment to AI remains unwavering.
Okay, so it's not time to hit the panic button just yet, but it's something to keep an eye on.
Definitely. And speaking of things to keep an eye on, there was another intriguing detail on this call. Even with that slight hiccup in Azure, Microsoft's commercial bookings were through the roof, up a massive 75% year over year.
Wow, 75% is huge. What was driving that surge?
The biggest factor was a massive Azure commitment from OpenAI. They're clearly betting big on Microsoft's cloud as the foundation for their future.
So it seems like the relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI is getting pretty serious.
It's definitely a partnership to watch. OpenAI gets access to Microsoft's massive cloud infrastructure, which they need to train and run their increasingly complex AI models. And Microsoft gets a front row seat to the cutting edge of AI development. It's a symbiotic relationship, at least for now.
This OpenAI commitment goes beyond just money, doesn't it? It suggests they see Azure as the only platform powerful enough to handle their future AI models. That's a huge vote of confidence in Microsoft's capabilities.
Absolutely. And that kind of validation from a company like OpenAI, which is at the forefront of AI innovation, speaks volumes. It reinforces Microsoft's position as a leader in the AI space.
That's a great point. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the perception and the partnerships that solidify a company's position in a rapidly evolving market.
Exactly. And this partnership is already having a ripple effect. Microsoft's commitment to AI is attracting other companies and developers to their platform, creating a virtuous cycle of growth and innovation.
So they're building an entire ecosystem around AI with Azure at the center of it all.
Precisely. And that's a powerful position to be in. It gives them a competitive advantage that will be difficult for others to replicate.
It sounds like we're witnessing a major shift in the tech landscape, with AI emerging as the dominant force, and Microsoft is right in the middle of it all.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning of the AI revolution, and Microsoft is positioning itself to be a major player in the years to come.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our discussion. We've seen how Microsoft's cloud business is thriving, fueled by both traditional services and explosive AI growth. We've also seen how their partnership with OpenAI is shaping the future of AI development and solidifying their position as a leader in this space.
But it's not just about the big picture trends. There were some really fascinating details about specific products and initiatives on this call that paint a clearer picture of where Microsoft is heading.
I love the specifics. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What jumped out at you? Was there anything that made you go, whoa, that's going to change things?
Several things, actually. But let's start with something you mentioned earlier, commercial bookings.
Okay.
Microsoft commercial bookings were up a staggering 75% year over year. It's a really strong signal of future growth.
Okay, I'm familiar with the term, but for those who aren't, could you quickly clarify what commercial bookings actually tell us?
Sure. Commercial bookings essentially represent the value of contracts signed for future services. They don't translate directly into revenue right away, but they give us a glimpse into the future health of a business. A surge in bookings like the one Microsoft saw suggests strong confidence in their future offerings.
Got it. So it's like a leading indicator pointing to continued momentum for their products and services.
Exactly. And it's not just about the overall number. When you break down those bookings, you see some really interesting trends emerging. For example, Microsoft Fabric, their unified data and analytics platform, is seeing incredible adoption.
Okay, I'll admit, data and analytics platform doesn't exactly set my pulse racing. Why is Fabric such a big deal? What does it actually do?
Think of it this way. AI needs data to learn, and Fabric provides the infrastructure to manage that data, ingest it, store it, analyze it, and govern it. It's becoming the foundation for all those AI applications we've been discussing.
Oh, so it's like the nervous system of a modern AI-powered organization.
Yeah.
It's not just about crunching numbers anymore. It's about making that data work for AI.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that we're seeing new AI-driven data patterns emerge. If you look under the hood of applications like ChatGPT or Copilot, you see a massive increase in demand for raw storage database services and app platform services. These AI workloads are incredibly data hungry.
That makes sense. You can't have a brilliant AI without feeding it a ton of information. And Microsoft is clearly providing the tools to manage all that data. But let's get back to the more user-facing side of things. We touched on Copilot earlier, but what else did we learn about Microsoft's plans for AI in areas like productivity and the future of work?
One interesting development is the rise of what Satya Nadella called the AI application pattern. It's essentially a new way of thinking about how we build and use software where AI is deeply embedded into every aspect of the application.
AI application pattern? It sounds a
Yeah.
bit abstract. Can you give us a concrete example of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. Think about an email application. In the past, it was primarily a tool for sending and receiving messages. But with the AI application pattern, it becomes much more than that. AI can help you prioritize your inbox draft responses, summarize long threads, even anticipate your needs before you even ask.
So it's not just about automating tasks. It's about fundamentally changing the way we interact with software, making it more intuitive, more helpful, and more aligned with our goals.
Exactly. And Microsoft is betting big on this new paradigm. They're incorporating AI into all of their major products and services, from Office 365 to Dynamics 365 to even their gaming platform, Xbox.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this AI application pattern could be really transformative. It's not just about adding a few AI features here and there. It's about reimagining the entire software experience.
And this goes beyond just Microsoft. We're seeing this trend emerge across the industry, with companies of all sizes starting to embrace AI as a core element of their software development strategies.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a major shift in the way we work and interact with technology. It's exciting, but also a little daunting. There are a lot of unknowns, and it's hard to predict exactly how this will all play out.
You're right. There are a lot of open questions about the future of AI, but one thing is clear, it's going to be a wild ride. And Microsoft is clearly buckling up for the journey.
Speaking of buckling up, let's shift gears a bit and talk about another area where AI is having a major impact.
Right.
Microsoft has been touting Security Copilot as a potential game changer in cybersecurity.
Security Copilot is fascinating because it's a direct response to a very real and growing problem, the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks. Even the most skilled security teams are struggling to keep up with the sheer volume and complexity of threats they're facing.
So Security Copilot is essentially an AI-powered security analyst designed to help organizations stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. It uses machine learning to analyze massive amounts of security data, identify patterns, and surface potential threats that human analysts might miss. And it can do this at a scale and speed that would be impossible for humans alone.
It's like having an army of digital detectives working around the clock to protect your systems and data. But even with all the hype around AI, there's always a healthy dose of skepticism. Some people might be thinking, okay, but hasn't technology always been used to help us with security? What makes Security Copilot so different?
The key difference is the level of intelligence and automation. In the past, security tools were primarily focused on detecting known threats based on predefined rules. But Security Copilot goes far beyond that. It can learn from new attacks, adapt to changing tactics, and even predict future threats based on emerging patterns. It's a whole new level of sophistication.
It sounds like Security Copilot is more than just a tool. It's almost like a partner working alongside your security team to provide insights and recommendations.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what makes it so powerful. Security Copilot isn't about replacing human analysts. It's about augmenting their capabilities and making them more effective. It's about freeing them up from the tedious and time-consuming tasks so they can focus on the strategic and complex issues that require human expertise.
So it's not about humans versus machines. It's about humans and machines working together to create a more secure digital world.
Precisely. And that's a really important point to emphasize because there's often a fear that AI will replace humans altogether. But in the field of cybersecurity, at least, the reality is quite the opposite. AI is actually making human security professionals even more valuable.
That's a reassuring perspective. It's not about automation taking over, but about AI empowering humans to do their jobs even better.
Hmm.
But security can sometimes feel like a bit of a dry topic. Can we bring this down to earth a bit? How does this actually impact the average person?
Think about all the sensitive data you have stored online, your bank accounts, your medical records, your social media profiles. All of this data is potentially vulnerable to cyber attacks.
Hmm.
Security Copilot is designed to help organizations protect this data more effectively, keeping your information safe and secure.
Okay. That definitely hits closer to home. So it's not just about protecting businesses. It's about protecting all of us.
Exactly. And that's why this is such a significant development. It's not just about improving efficiency or reducing costs. It's about building a more secure and trustworthy digital world for everyone.
Well, I, for one, am grateful for any technology that can help us stay one step ahead of the bad guys. But let's not get too carried away with the security talk. There's a whole other side to Microsoft's business that we haven't even touched on yet, their consumer products and services.
Right. We've been so focused on the enterprise side of things that we haven't had a chance to talk about what's happening with products like Windows, Xbox, and Surface.
Yeah, and of course, there's LinkedIn, which is a powerhouse in its own right. So let's dive into that world. What's the latest on Microsoft's consumer front? Are they seeing the same kind of growth and innovation that we're seeing in their cloud and AI businesses?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. Some areas are doing incredibly well while others are facing more challenges. Let's start with the good news. Windows 11 continues to be a major success, with over 80% of eligible PCs now running the latest version of the operating system.
That's impressive. It seems like Microsoft has finally managed to crack the code on operating system upgrades. People used to dread those major updates, but Windows 11 seems to have been a much smoother transition.
It's definitely a testament to the work Microsoft has done to improve the upgrade process and make it more user-friendly. They've also done a great job of integrating new features and capabilities into Windows 11, making it a more compelling platform for both consumers and businesses.
Okay, so Windows is humming along nicely. What about the Surface line of devices? They've been pushing hard to establish themselves as a premium alternative to Apple products. How's that going?
Surface continues to be a bright spot for Microsoft, with revenue up 13% year over year. They're seeing strong demand for their Surface Pro and Surface laptop devices, which are becoming increasingly popular among students and professionals alike.
So it seems like they're making progress in carving out a niche in the premium device market. But let's be honest, Apple still dominates that space, doesn't it?
They do. But Microsoft is slowly chipping away at their market share, offering a compelling alternative for those who prefer the Windows ecosystem or who are looking for specific features that Apple doesn't offer.
Fair enough. So we've got Windows and Surface doing well. What about the gaming side of things? Xbox has always been a major focus for Microsoft.
Gaming is a bit of a more complex story. On the one hand, they're facing some headwinds with hardware sales declining and competition from cloud gaming services intensifying.
Yeah, it feels like the gaming landscape is changing rapidly, with new players emerging and the lines between traditional consoles and cloud gaming becoming increasingly blurred.
Exactly. And that's creating challenges for companies like Microsoft who have traditionally dominated the console market. But it's not all doom and gloom. They're seeing strong growth in their Xbox content and services business, driven by the popularity of Game Pass.
Ah, Game Pass.
Mhm.
It seems like every time we talk about Microsoft's gaming business, Game Pass comes up. It's clearly a major strategic initiative for them.
It is. And for good reason, Game Pass is like the Netflix of gaming, giving players access to a huge library of games for a monthly fee.
It's a brilliant model. It shifts the focus from selling hardware to selling subscriptions, which provides a more stable and recurring revenue stream.
Exactly. And it's been incredibly successful. Game Pass now has over 50 million subscribers, and it's growing rapidly. It's become a major differentiator for Xbox and a key driver of their gaming revenue.
So even though they're facing challenges in the hardware market, they're finding new ways to grow and engage their gaming audience through services like Game Pass.
Exactly. And that's a smart move because the future of gaming is likely to be less about owning a physical console and more about accessing games through a variety of devices and platforms.
It's all about flexibility and choice, which is something that consumers are increasingly demanding.
Absolutely. And that's something that Microsoft is clearly focused on. They're building a gaming ecosystem that spans consoles, PCs, mobile devices, and even the cloud.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
They're hedging their bets and creating a multi-platform gaming experience that can appeal to a wider audience.
Precisely. And that's a smart strategy in today's rapidly evolving gaming landscape.
Okay, so we've covered Windows, Surface, and Xbox. What about the elephant in the room? The one Microsoft product that we haven't mentioned yet, Bing. They've been pouring resources into their search engine for years, trying to challenge Google's dominance. Have they made any progress on that front?
Um, it's been a long and uphill battle for Bing, but they have made some notable gains recently. Their integration of ChatGPT-like features into Bing has generated a lot of buzz and attracted new users to the platform.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with the new Bing myself, and I have to say it's pretty impressive. The ability to have natural language conversations with the search engine and get more comprehensive and informative answers is a real game changer.
It is, and it's clearly resonating with users. Microsoft reported that Bing has now surpassed 100 million daily active users, which is a significant milestone.
Wow, 100 million daily users. That's still a far cry from Google's billions of users, but it's a sign that Bing is finally starting to gain some real traction.
And the key to their recent success has been their embrace of AI. By integrating cutting-edge AI models like ChatGPT into Bing, they've created a search experience that is more engaging, more informative, and more aligned with the way people actually use search today.
It's no longer just about typing in keywords and getting a list of blue links. It's about having a more conversational and personalized search experience.
Exactly. And that's something that Google is also starting to do, but Microsoft has been a bit quicker to embrace this new paradigm.
It's interesting to see how the competition is heating up in the search market. For years, it felt like Google had an unassailable lead, but now Microsoft is starting to put real pressure on them.
It's definitely a battle to watch, and it's a reminder that even in seemingly mature markets like search, there's always room for disruption and innovation.
Well, on that note of disruption and innovation, let's move on to our final consumer product, LinkedIn. It's become a behemoth in the professional networking space. What's the latest on their performance?
LinkedIn continues to be a powerhouse for Microsoft, with revenue up 10% year over year. They're seeing strong engagement on the platform, with more people participating in conversations, sharing content, and using their recruiting and hiring tools.
So it's not just about connecting with colleagues and building their professional network anymore. LinkedIn is becoming a more comprehensive platform for career development, job searching, and even business networking.
Exactly, and they're leveraging AI to enhance all of these features, making the platform more personalized, more relevant, and more valuable for users.
It sounds like they're firing on all cylinders. LinkedIn has become an integral part of the professional landscape, and it shows no signs of slowing down.
Indeed. It's a valuable asset for Microsoft and a testament to their ability to build and sustain successful consumer businesses.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this segment.
Hmm.
We've seen how Microsoft's consumer businesses are navigating a rapidly changing landscape, with some areas experiencing tremendous growth and others facing more challenges.
But overall, it's a positive picture. Microsoft is demonstrating its ability to adapt, innovate, and compete effectively in a variety of consumer markets.
And it seems like AI is playing an increasingly important role across all of their consumer products, from Windows to Bing to LinkedIn.
Absolutely. AI is becoming the secret sauce that's powering a more personalized, more engaging, and more valuable user experience across the board.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to shift our focus back to the bigger picture. We've talked a lot about specific products and initiatives, but what does all of this mean for Microsoft's overall strategy and their position in the tech landscape?
That's a great question. And it's one that we'll explore in more depth in our next segment. We'll delve into the financial implications of Microsoft's AI bet their competitive landscape and the broader societal impacts of their technology.
Sounds like we have a lot more to unpack. Okay, folks, we'll be right back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into Microsoft's Q2 2025 earnings call. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the cloud and AI to specific products like Fabric and Copilot to Microsoft's performance in consumer markets. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What does all of this mean for Microsoft's overall strategy and their position in the tech world?
Well, it's clear that Microsoft is betting big on AI as the next major wave of computing. And they're not just dipping their toes in the water, they're diving headfirst into the deep end.
And they're not alone, right? Every tech giant from Google to Amazon to Meta is scrambling to stake their claim in the AI gold rush.
Absolutely. This is the new battleground for tech supremacy, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
So where does Microsoft stand in this AI arms race? Do they have what it takes to come out on top?
I think they're in a very strong position. They have a solid foundation in cloud computing, with Azure being a dominant player. They have a vast ecosystem of partners and developers who are building on their platform, and they have a deep understanding of enterprise needs, which is where a lot of the early AI adoption is happening.
They also have that crucial partnership with OpenAI, which gives them access to some of the most advanced AI models in the world.
Right. That partnership is a real game changer. It gives them a competitive advantage that's hard to match.
But it's not just about the technology itself, is it? It's about having the right strategy, the right partnerships, and the ability to execute flawlessly.
Exactly. And it's also about navigating the ethical and societal implications of AI. This is a powerful technology with the potential to reshape the world, and we need to make sure it's developed and used responsibly.
That's a really important point. It's not just about the bottom line, it's about the impact this technology will have on people and society as a whole.
Absolutely. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the future of AI involving a wide range of stakeholders, from policymakers to ethicists to the general public.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's a conversation we need to be having now before it's too late.
I completely agree. We can't afford to just let the technology develop unchecked. We
Right.
need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we shape the future of AI.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Microsoft's latest earnings call, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the key takeaway is that we're witnessing a profound shift in the tech landscape. AI is no longer a futuristic concept. It's here now, and it's rapidly transforming the way we live, work, and interact with the world, and Microsoft is positioning itself to be a leader in this new era.
And they're doing it not just through cutting-edge technology, but also through strategic partnerships, thoughtful leadership, and a commitment to responsible AI development.
Exactly. It's an exciting time to be following the tech industry, and Microsoft is the company to watch closely as this AI revolution unfolds.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights. It's always a pleasure to pick your brain.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm always happy to talk about the fascinating world of AI.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Quarterly Call. For more episodes, please remember to rate and follow our show. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.